when we got started, the main thing that we were focused on was gender differences. This was a really big topic in evolutionary psychology if you go back to the 90s. A couple of the big gender differences that I think will be very familiar to your listeners are the ideas that women say they care about things like earning potential and ambition in a partner more than men, and men say they care about things like physical attractiveness, sexiness in a partner more than women. These are preferences that, we've been studying these for, well over 50, nearly 100 years now. We've been getting evidence along these lines. But one of the things we noticed was that, when people were studying these topics, they were like giving people questionnaires and kind of asking them, hey, how do you feel about these traits? None of it was looking at how the traits impacted men and women in the moment when they are actually meeting and getting to know potential partners. So in those early studies that we ran, we actually set men and women, heterosexual men and women, up on dates with each other and looked to see whether those gender differences also manifested in how they felt about these partners that they were meeting. And in brief, no, we didn't find any evidence for those gender differences. We found that ambition was a little appealing, but it was just as appealing to men as it was to women. And this was our first clue that, there might be a real difference here, especially when it comes to gender, between what people say they care about in a relationship, what they think they want in the abstract, and what they actually want when they're meeting people face to face.
Okay, let's go deeper on this because it's taken as gospel now that, men are looking for women who are most attractive and the women are looking for the men who have the most resources. And that this is almost the entire frame of relationships.
Yeah,
so how can that be wrong?
Yeah. Well, it reflects what people say they want. I mean, everything you're describing, it really does capture what people say when you ask them to fill things out on questionnaires, right? And even to some extent, when people are swiping, we find that the major disconnect happens once people move from a swiping environment, a photograph environment, to a face-to-face interaction environment. Once you get to that moment, what we see routinely is that, look, these qualities, they're all positive qualities. They're all things that people indeed desire when they meet other people and are deciding if they want to date them. But what we're interested in is essentially how powerfully does that attribute predict, like, whether you want to go on a second date with this person. So let me give an illustration that we would see in speed dating, that this captures what we see time and time and again. So I've got this woman and I've got this woman here and she says that she cares about earning prospects in a partner more than, let's say, the typical man would. Okay. So she's showing that typical gender difference. And then I send her speed dating. And for the sake of argument, let's say she's going to meet 5 men who are above average in their level of ambition. They're going to be doctors. They're going to be lawyers. Okay. They're going into high finance. And then the other half of the men, not so ambitious. Well, on average, she probably is going to like the ambitious men a little bit more than the unambitious men. We could call it like a 10% boost. It's a small boost, but it's there and it's real. I think the part that people don't anticipate is that when we flip the genders around here and the men go speed dating and the men meet some women who want to be lawyers and doctors and go into finance and some women who are less ambitious, well, they also tend to like the ambitious women a little bit. And it's also about a 10% boost. So that's what we mean by we don't see gender differences in what men and women actually like, or we might even say like their revealed preferences are the same.
To go even deeper on these ideas, you can watch my full episode using the link in the description or the box on the screen.